I hope you enjoyed last week's episode on the lessons we can learn from the podcast interviews. If you missed it, please go back and listen to episode 59. Today, I will present more life lessons from some of the interviews I have been privileged to do over the past year. First up is Carolyn Morkay, an administrator who recently added entrepreneur to her resume when she launched 2 online businesses. Carolyn reminded us in her interview that successful people do not allow excuses or obstacles to keep them from achieving their goals. Let's listen to what Carolyn has to say.
There are going to be moments in all of our lives where we feel successful and when we don't. As I look at the definition of what I would consider successful or success, I think about accomplishments, accomplishing goals and movement.
Okay.
Now, you may have a big picture before you, and you may have the goal of the big picture that you want to accomplish. Just because you haven't accomplished it in a certain time frame doesn't mean you're not successful. I do feel that success is staying in movement toward accomplishing those goals, even in the midst of fear and trepidation, because they can coexist, but you're still in movement. You didn't pitch your tent in excuses.
Okay.
I feel like a lot of the difference between people who are successful and the people who are not, they allow fear to cripple them and stop them. So they're no longer in movement. And when you're not in movement, you become stagnant and you're not even working towards your dreams or accomplishing your strategies. For those who are on their road to success, we want to be absent of excuses. I learned this definition when I first came to Georgia in 2004, and I was working for a nonprofit, and they were short staffed, so it was just kind of high turnover, but I was steady there. And
Okay.
so they wanted us to do additional work, and I was like, I can't stay all of these extra hours and all of that. But one of the higher ups came to me and she was talking with me, and the one thing she said to me, she gave me this definition that I committed to memory, and it guides me right now. And it's a definition for excuses. And she said, excuses are meaningless devices used to rationalize or justify the failure of a task. And so as I got
Wow.
on this road, I said, I am going to be absent of excuses, although what I'm saying could be true. It could be factual, but I'm going to be absent of that because I need to figure out how people who are successful, they figure out how to move through walls of resistance. They figure out how to get on the other side of the challenge to attain what it is they're trying to accomplish. There will be things that will coexist. There will be emotions that will creep into play sometimes,
Sure.
but you have to be able to navigate through that and always figuring out how to proceed through challenges and get to the other side.
I love that Carolyn encouraged us to find a way around any obstacles that we may face on the road to success and to resist the temptation to create or make excuses. That persistence and never give up attitude will take us very far in life. Speaking of far, next, you will hear from Sue Christie, a full-time missionary who was stationed with her husband for many years in Kenya, Africa, and has taught children, pastors, and leaders, in addition to running a school and creating curriculum in the U.S. and abroad. Sue explains how we can all live a life of service, no matter where we are geographically. Let's hear what Sue has to say.
Everyone can serve. But what I find is there has to be a willingness. Service under compulsion is debt, not service. And service for something in return is not true service either. So we have to look at our attitude. We have to look at what our true motive is at the moment that we choose to serve. And if it's not out of compassion, then I believe that we're missing it, because Jesus always moved with compassion, because that's the heart of the Father. So I desire to serve in the same capacity, which is full of compassion. Romans 12 in verses 9 to 13 says, love must be sincere. So that has to be what our motive is. It says to be devoted to one another, and that's our humility. And then it says, never be lacking in zeal, but keep your spiritual fervor. And that positions us to serve God. So we can be joyful in hope and patient in affliction and faithful in prayers because that always accompanies our service.
I love that Sue cautioned us to pay attention to our attitude, our intention when serving or helping people. We should be mindful to be a blessing to those we are serving and helping and not see it as drudgery. Lives are positively changed, and God gets the glory when we serve with the right attitude. Thanks, Sue, for that great and necessary reminder. Next is Jillian Hainsworth, Buffalo, New York's first poet laureate, who offers a working definition of service, as well as practical ways everyone can serve no matter where they are in life. Let's listen to what Jillian has to say.
Using the tools that you have in your toolbox to benefit other people. To me, it's really that simple. I think sometimes we overcomplicate what service is. A lot of times people feel like if they can't have this huge impact, that it's not service. If they're not serving enough people, then it's not service. But it really is just using whatever you have, whatever is in your tool chest, to help other people. So if you can cook, if you cook dinner for one neighbor, that's service. And if you can write and you do poetry to inspire the community, that's service. I don't think there are limits on what it is, but I think we all do it every single day. And a lot of times we don't realize.
I love how Jillian defined service as using the tools in your toolbox to help someone. You know, service is really one of the great equalizers because everyone has the ability to serve in some capacity. Thanks, Jillian, for reminding us that service can be everybody's mission. And the last clip is from Victanya Johnson, a medical professional who gained a new appreciation for life when she experienced a critical health scare on her honeymoon in a third world country and had to rely on her faith in God to get her through. Let's listen to Victanya.
That taught me that you have to listen to your body, that God is real, that if you just pray, talk, trust Him, He will get you out of any situation. Even though that was the hardest thing for me to do because I didn't understand what was going on. Like, this is supposed to be one of the happiest times of my life, and I'm facing something so horrible, and all I could do was pray. That was all I could do. There were no clocks, there were no TVs. I didn't sleep at night because I was nervous. So all I could do was talk to God. And I just needed to let Him know that I trusted Him and I believed Him, and I knew my family was praying for me. The church was praying. Everybody was praying for me. And I knew that was not where God wanted me to die. I knew that. So I had to be faithful to Him and just keep the faith, because I'm like, no, I can't leave my kids like this. My kids are going crazy. I know they are. I can't do this to them. I can't do this to my family. So I just had to keep praying and talking to God. And I had to go through that battle for whatever reason. And then He brought me through it. So He's real. Never give up. Never give up. Even through the darkest times. Don't give up. Don't give up, because he'll get you through it. He'll get you through it. And I have a praying family. So I knew, like, I know that I'm gonna get out of this, and I'm gonna be on the winning side. And I was.
Thanks, Victanya, for encouraging our faith and reminding us that life is precious. Prayer works, and God is able to bring us out of any situation we might face. Her story makes me think of the scripture, "Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord will deliver us from them all." That's all I have for today. If you want to listen to the entire interviews mentioned in today's episode, here is where you can find them. Carolyn Morkay's interview is episode 26. Sue Christie's interview is episode 40. Jillian Hainsworth's interview is episode 41, and Victoria Johnson's interview is episode 55. Bye for now.